Hello and welcome to another LOTRO Update 15 preview video with me, Balthelion. So today we're going to be looking at another one of the Beorning's trait trees, and today it's going to be the Roar, which is the yellow one. So this trait line is kind of the all-round utility supporty kind of role for a Beorning. It's going to do a bit of healing, a bit of debuffing, a bit of crowd control, all the kind of usual support features for the Beorning. So if we cover the description of this first, it provides healing and crowd control support. Using the knowledge of your unique people, aid your allies with powerful healing, debuffs and crowd control. So buying that will give us two skills to start with, which are Encouraging Roar and Mark of Grimbeorn. So I'll just pop those up on the screen. So Encouraging Roar is a heal, it's only usable in bear form. Consumes a portion of your wrath to restore a large amount of morale on a target, so not necessarily yourself. So bear in mind this is a level 6 heal, it's healing 251 to 279 morale, that's a fair chunk of morale at this level. It's got a 20 meter range, so your ally has to be within 20 meter range of you to get that heal. But if the Mark of Grimbeorn is present, and that will go on your ally, then the ally will also receive a heal over time when you use Encouraging Roar. Encouraging Roar will cost you 10 wrath, and it has a 3-second cooldown, so it is spammable, but you need to obviously build up a fair bit of wrath before you transfer them into a bear and then use this skill. So following on from that, we've got Mark of Grimbeorn, which is a mark that can be placed on an ally. This mark will interact with various skills, altering or increasing their potency. So this has a 20 meter range, you can put that mark on somebody, it's a toggle skill, so once it's on it will stay on. If your ally or yourself get more than 20 meters apart from each other, that will deactivate automatically. So casting this on your ally will add 5 to your wrath. It has a 5-second cooldown if you need to recast it, so the same as any other toggled mark skills like Captain's marks and all that. But yeah, as you'll see when we go through this tree, if this effect is on an ally, then you're probably going to do more stuff to the ally, so more likely to heal them, do more heals, that kind of stuff. But let's get into the trait tree and see what the bonuses are like. Okay, so the first bonus then in the yellow tree, once you've spent 5 ranks in the yellow tree, is the Mark of Beorn. You can mark your enemies. Mark of Beorn alters the following skills if present on the target. So if you have the Mark of Beorn on the target, Grisly Cry, Piercing Roar and Vicious Claws will have different or bonus effects. And it just briefly lists what those are there. So Grisly Cry becomes an area effect fear around the target. Piercing Roar doubles the debuff on the target. And Vicious Claws lowers the target's chance to hit. So the Mark of Beorn itself, it has a 20 meter range, so you have to be within 20 meters of your target. It's a toggle skill, so once you put it on your target it will stay on there unless one of you moves more than 20 meters away from the other one, or the target dies. It's usable in any form, so human or bear. A mark that can be placed on an enemy. This mark will interact with various skills, altering or increasing their potency. So putting that mark on a target will give you 5 wrath on the initial application of that. There's a 5-second cooldown if you need to reapply it at any point. And as it mentioned in the trait itself, certain skills are going to get bonus effects when we've got that on the target. So the second trait is Aid the Assault. You need to spend 10 ranks in the yellow tree. Your Relentless attack boosts the morale of your allies. Relentless Maul now applies every 1 second. The wording of this always confuses me when I start reading this out aloud. The effects applied to friends within 15 meters will be a morale boost of 113 to 125 morale. That's going to be based on my current level, that will scale as you level up. So yeah, while you're using Relentless Maul, basically your enemies will get healed every 1 second that is doing that action. At 15 ranks spent in the yellow tree, we'll get Grimbeorn's Strength. Inspired by Grimbeorn, you learn to better aid your friends in times of need. When used on an ally bearing Grimbeorn's mark, Sacrifice causes you to negate 25% of redirected damage. Hearten gains increased healing. Hearten refunds its wrath cost upon use. And Cleanse's cooldown is reduced by 15%. Or 15 seconds, sorry. Is that one that has an extra thing on it? No, it isn't. Okay, so basically that's going to be quite useful to do a bit of healing to aid your friends if you're in the Fellowship. Or if you're not in the Fellowship, you're getting that bonus anyway by speccing this tree, but there you go. At 20 ranks in the yellow tree, we'll get Rejuvenating Blow, which will give us a skill, which we'll see in a second. So a Beorning's Roar can be as heartening to its allies as it is intimidating to its enemies. And that will give us a skill if I just hover over it. So Rejuvenating Bellow, 20 meters range. It's a bare form only skill. Consumes a portion of wrath to restore morale to any allies around you. So you can use it. I think you have to be targeting an enemy to use it. So the enemy has to be within 20 meters of you to use the skill. Any allies within 20 meters of you will get the heal. So at level 6 this is 220 to 245 morale, which is a lot, and that will scale as you level up. This one costs 20 wrath though, because it is pretty damn strong. It's only on a 6-second cooldown. Obviously being in bear form you need to build up quite a bit of wrath before you transform to bear and use that 20 wrath. So you're probably not going to be able to spam that. You might get maybe 2, 3, 4 if you're lucky, otherwise you're probably going to run out of wrath before you can use any more of that, so you can't just spam it over and over, because while you're in bear form you're going to be constantly using wrath. So the next one is 25 ranks in the yellow tree, and this one is called Honey Cleanse. Beornings are keen to the medicinal properties of honey, so going with the old bear and honey route there. After using Cleanse, your next healing skill gains plus 10% critical chance for every poison, disease, fear or wound removed. So Cleanse is a skill that I do not have at the moment, but you should be able to remove effects on an ally, or possibly yourself. I'm not sure if it's usable on yourself. But based on how many things you've removed, you're going to get a critical chance buff for every one of those effects removed. So you can pretty much guarantee your next heal is going to crit when you use that if you use it at the right time, which can be quite nice, because then it'll be a really big heal. At 30 ranks in the yellow tree we have Greater Swarm. You draw upon the powers of unexpected allies. If the mark of Beorn is present, Bee Swarm will now affect the enemies around the target, plus 20% Bee Swarm damage. So Bee Swarm is kind of like a debuffy attack and effect that you can apply on a particular enemy. It would only normally affect that one target, but if you have this bonus it's going to affect any enemies immediately around the Bee Swarm. I'm not sure if it tells us anything extra if I hover over it. Nope. And it also does more damage, so more damage. Debuff effect will still be the same strength, but it will affect multiple targets around the target that you use the Bee Swarm on. And then the last skill in the trait bonuses is Bond of Trust. You always take time to tend to a trusted friend. Your healing skills have a 20% chance to restore 5% of max morale of the ally bearing your mark of Grimbeorn. So all healing skills, 20% chance to restore an additional 5% of the allies' maximum morale, in addition to the normal healing effects of that skill. So basically, yeah, it's pretty handy if you want to be healing your allies. If that procs, fantastic, you're going to do loads and loads of healing to them, so that's quite a nice passive bonus there. So let's get into the trait tree itself then. Okay, so in the tier 1 traits we have 3 options, and some of these are tooltips of doom, as you can see by the size of them. So first off we have Encouraging Strike. Striking enemies with Slash puts a stacking healing buff on yourself. Additional ranks increase the potency of the buff per stack. So at rank 1, striking an enemy with Slash will add a 1% outgoing healing modifier for 8 seconds. So all heals that you cast, regardless of whether they go to somebody else or yourself, will do 1% extra healing. That buff will last for 8 seconds and it can stack 3 times. So each additional rank of that, the stacking bonus goes up by 1%. So at rank 5, it's a 5% healing modifier per stack, up to 3 times. So potentially you can increase your outgoing healing by 15% for the next 8 seconds. And that will always proc if you ever use Slash. It's not a chance on Slash. So basically you want to use Slash, and then follow that up with any healing you've got once you've got these points spent on these ranks, and you'll do loads of big healing to your allies or yourself. Next up we've got Raging Blow. Increases the damage of vicious claws. If support, it says. I don't know what it means by if support. Striking a target with vicious claws will give your Mark of Grimbeorn target a short duration damage buff. Additional ranks increase the potency of the buff. I'd assume this is probably just a beta issue with their tooltips. When they mean if support, they probably mean if traded in the yellow trait tree. So this probably won't be on live when it goes live, just to avoid the confusion there. But striking an enemy with vicious claws, if the target, to the target of the Mark of Grimbeorn, your allied person who's got the Healy mark on, you will give them a 5% damage buff to all types of damage for 5 seconds, and you'll give yourself plus 3% vicious claw damage, and that will go up by 5% damage to your ally, 3% damage to yourself. So at rank 3, your ally will get 5 seconds of 15% bonus damage, and you will get 9% vicious claw bonus damage when you use that skill. And then the third trait in this trait line is a rather simple one with thankfully a much smaller and easier to understand tooltip. It's just simply called Fate, and it increases your Fate per rank. So I think that bonus should scale as you level up, because 8 Fate is not really much. But yeah, I mean, it's probably the least useful of the opening traits, but you might decide to spend some points on that if you need a little bit of Fate in there. Tier 2 traits, we have 2 options, the first of which is Desperate Shout. After using Ferocious Roar, the wrath cost of your next healing skill is reduced. At max rank, the cost is fully removed. So at rank 1, you reduce the cost of your next heal by 50%, and that buff will last for the duration of combat until you consume that buff, so that's quite nice. Or if you go out of combat, it will last for 9 seconds, so if you don't get in combat within the next 9 seconds, you'll lose that buff. And at rank 2, it means your next heal is free, it does not cost any wrath, regardless of which healing skill that is. And then the second skill is Improved Hearten. Increases Hearten's heal per rank, so it's 3% per rank. At rank 5, the maximum, you will do an extra 15% healing with your Hearten skill, so that's just a fellowship-wide heal. So that one's going to be certainly pretty useful. Tier 3, we have 3 options. So the first of these is Stampede. Using Rush in bear form applies the effect to your entire fellowship. Additional ranks increase the duration of the effect. So Rush, I'm not entirely sure what it does. I think it's a speed boost, as the name would suggest. But that will be a skill that's available to all Beornings. It's one of the universal skills, not in the trait trees. So at rank 1, using Rush in bear form now applies to your fellowship, and then ranks 2 to 5 will increase the duration by 2 seconds apiece, so up to 8 seconds duration. The second trait is called Shake Free. The first rank adds a morale bubble to Shake Free, the second rank increases the potency of the bubble. And if support, Shake Free applies its benefits to your marked ally, so I think that basically means if you have the Mark of Grimbeorn on somebody, then the effect will go to the person you've marked instead of yourself. So just bear that in mind. So rank 1, in addition to breaking out of all combat states, Shake Free grants a damage preventing bubble granting 205 temporary morale. That should scale as I level up, that's only while I'm level 6. And that bubble will last for 10 seconds. And rank 2, it will do exactly the same. Actually no, the effect it applies to your Mark of Grimbeorn target should be in addition to yourself, by the sounds of it. So you apply the bubble to yourself and your ally, and the bubble will also be 30% stronger than it was previously, so that's pretty nice. It's kind of like the Runekeeper bubble skills, that one. And the third skill we have is called Takedown. Unlocks the skill Takedown, a bear form attack that deals minor damage and knocks a target down. So Takedown is a bear form skill, it's 2.5 meter range because it's melee, knocks an enemy down for a short duration, so it's 2.2 seconds. It's going to do some damage as well. It will cost 10 Wrath and it has a 20-second cooldown. So it doesn't seem to start Fellowship Maneuvers this one, but it will knock an enemy down. You can do some damage to it in the meantime while it's not hitting you back, so it can be useful in a pinch. Tier 4, we have 2 skill options. We have Crippling Stings. Bee Swarm now also snares your enemies for a short duration. Additional ranks increase the potency of the snare. So at rank 1, in addition to damage, Bee Swarm now applies minus 30% run speed for 8 seconds. And at additional ranks, it will do up to an additional 20% snare potency. So at rank 5, it should be minus 50% run speed for 8 seconds. Second trait is called Imposing Presence, increases Grisly Fear's duration per rank. I'm not entirely sure what Grisly Cries is, but it's probably going to inflict a AoE fear to your target. So the duration of that fear will go up by 2, 4 or 6 seconds based on how many ranks you spend in that skill. Okay, so next up, tier 5 traits, we have 3 options. The first of these is called Nature's Mend. Unlocks the skill Nature's Mend, an induction based heal that is more potent for your marked ally. So Nature's Mend has a 20 meter range, so your ally needs to be within 20 meters of you. It's a 1.5 second induction. It's only usable in man form. You call on nature to increase the morale of your target. So plus 148 to 164 morale. That's only while I'm level 6, that will scale as you level up. It will add 10 to your Wrath, and it has a cooldown of 5 seconds. So you can pretty much just spam that over and over. You're going to heal somebody. It's pretty much going to be a bread and butter heal. But that's going to be enhanced by another trait in the next tier of traits, but we'll come back to that shortly. The second trait in the tree is Healing Increase, and as the name suggests, it will just increase your outgoing healing per rank, 2% per rank, 10% at rank 5, so it just means all heals you cast will do in addition 10% healing, whether it goes to an ally or to yourself. And then the third trait is Leveling Roar. Takedown no longer deals damage, but can now be used on targets up to 10 meters away. So it's optional whether you want to get that. But it's one of the Beornings. One of the things Seven's been doing with Beornings is having a lot of transformative traits. So instead of just giving you new skills or whatever, you have the option of, okay, you can buy the additional rank and it will change how that skill works entirely, or you can decide not to do it and keep it how it had the original functionality. They've done a lot of those. So as you can see from the skill itself, Leveling Roar knocks an enemy down for a short duration from range. So it's still a 2.2 second knockdown, still costs 10 Wrath, still has 20 seconds cooldown, but you can use it at range, but it does no damage. It's up to you whether you want to buy that trade-off for a skill point. Tier 6, we have 3 skill traits. So the first of these is Quick Mend. This will be a upgrade to Nature's Mend, which we got in the previous tier. So Quick Mend reduces the induction of Nature's Mend and increases its healing. So at rank 1 it has minus 10% induction duration, but it has plus 5% extra healing, and that will scale up at rank 3 to be minus 30% of the induction time, but an additional 15% healing. So if you're spamming that skill, if you're being a main healer or a supporting healer, you're probably going to want that because that's going to be pretty damn strong. Next trait, we have Piercing Roar. Unlocks Piercing Roar, a single target attack that reduces your target's damage. So this is a bear form only attack. It has a 20 meter range. Even though it says it's a melee skill, I'm not going to theorize as to why that might be, but it is. Your roar pierces the defenses of your enemy, causing it to weaken for a brief moment. Doubles the potency of the debuff if the Mark of Beorn is present. So if you have the Mark of Beorn before you use Piercing Roar, double effect. So this will inflict a fair chunk of damage. It's going to do minus 20% damage debuff to your enemy that you've just used it on for 12 seconds. So for the next 12 seconds they will do 20% less damage to whoever they're hitting. If you have the Mark of Beorn on them, they will do minus 40% damage to whoever they're attacking, which is a pretty strong debuff. So that has a 12-second duration, and the skill can be used every 30 seconds. And also something worth noting is that this is a bare form attack, but it costs no wrath. So every 30 seconds you can just spam that over and over and over again, as long as you're still in bare form. So that's pretty strong. There is also an upgrade to this, which is also in the same tier, which is Crippling Roar. So this adds a snare to Piercing Roar. Additional ranks improve the snare's strength. So at rank 1, Piercing Roar now snares enemies. They have a minus 30% run speed debuff for 12 seconds. So that matches the damage debuff duration as well there. And at rank 3, it's an additional 20% potency, so they will have a minus 50% run speed debuff. I'm not sure if this scales. This can't scale with Mark of Grimbeorn. This has got to be Mark of Bjorn. This has to be independent, because trying to do a minus 100% run speed buff, A, won't work because they're not allowed to not move at all, and B, that would just be ridiculously OP. So that's probably not going to scale. So you can have a minus 40% damage and a minus 50% run speed debuff, which you can inflict for 12 seconds every 30 seconds, which is pretty damn strong for a boss fight or any fight really. So trait tier 7 then, Nature's Bond. Unlocks the skill Nature's Bond, which allows you to mark an ally. When you receive healing, your marked ally also receives healing, equal to 70% of the original heal. So Nature's Bond has a 40 meter range. It's usable in any form, so whether you're human or bear. Redirects a portion of the healing you receive to your friend for 20 seconds, and when you use the skill, 70% of all incoming healing is redirected to the target of Nature's Bond skill. So this will add 5 to Wrath. It's a toggle skill, so you can mark somebody and keep this on them, which kind of is a bit confusing because it says it has 20-second duration, but whatever. I think that's probably misleading. It says toggle skill. It's meant to be a 20-second duration with a 2-minute cooldown. But it basically means, providing you're not taking too much damage yourself, you can put the Mark of Grimbeorn, put the Nature's Bond on somebody. It will tag them for the next 20 seconds. Your self heals pretty much mostly affect them now rather than self healing yourself. And then obviously any fellowship or targeted healing you do to your allies goes to them anyway. So it basically just means you can throw more heals at them by converting your self heals to be ally heals. So that's a pretty strong one. So yeah, there's lots of supportive healing in this one. Not as much crowd control as I initially thought was going to be in here when they said it'd be a bit crowd control. It's more kind of like run speed debuffs and that. But certainly the damage debuffs that you can inflict on enemies is pretty strong as well. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how this one fits into to grouping situations. But I hope you guys have enjoyed that. If you want to learn more about the other two trait lines, the Claw and the Hide, I've done separate videos for those. So watch out for those, and there's be a few more videos about Beornings and some more Update 15 beta preview videos, so keep an eye out for those. Hope you enjoyed that, and see you guys later.